Worship singers, I want to help you today by telling you the story of how I met my real voice. It took a while, but I met my true singing voice one summer, and I think my story could help you meet your true singing voice if you're brave enough. Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is Nathan Smith, and welcome to Blueprint Sounds. So glad that you're joining me. So let me tell you the story of how I met my true singing voice. Growing up, like everybody else who grows up loving music, I listened to a lot of music, and there were a couple of singers that I naturally gravitated to. I listened to a lot of Third Day, which their lead singer is Mac Powell. He's a southern guy with a really deep voice. And I listened to a lot of Lifehouse with Jason Wade, the lead vocalist. And both guys do sort of a similar thing with their voice, which is that kind of back in the throat sound. And I really liked it. I thought it was manly and I thought it was cool. And so I did the same thing. So I sang all through high school with that vocal technique. And it wasn't like I decided I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z. I was just mimicking what I liked. And I actually got compliments on it too. People would say, I remember there was one guy that didn't know that I was listening to him, but he said, "Wow, what a big voice to come out of a tiny body." So that always feels nice to get compliments for what you're doing and how you're singing. But I found that I couldn't sing as long. I couldn't sing with power. There were notes that I couldn't hit. My voice was inconsistent. And, you think about all of those things, but I hadn't really thought about changing up anything until I found myself down in California taking lessons from this lady named Joanna. And Joanna is a trained instructor in what's called speech level singing. And speech level singing was designed by this guy named Seth Riggs, who was the vocal coach for Prince and Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, and I could go on and on and on. And instead of trying to go through every single thing that I was doing wrong with my voice, she had me do this really simple exercise. Your voice is inside you. It's very hard to explain, like, okay, what's my soft palate, my tongue, where should it be placed? Like, how do you explain all that? She cut through all of that with this really simple exercise. She had me sing a song, and she said, okay, say each one of those words. And so I said each one of those words, and then she said, now, I want you to sing those words, but I don't want you to sing them. I want you to say them on pitch. So if we'll just use Amazing Grace as an example. She said, sing may, zing, zing, grace. All right, now say that on pitch, but don't sing it. Okay? So I spoke each of those notes on pitch, and she said, there you go. That was much better. And in that moment, I had met my true singing voice. My true singing voice was totally different than the singing voice I had used and that had gotten compliments in high school. And you know what? I didn't like it. I didn't like it because, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, when you're in your own head, your voice feels a certain way and sounds a certain way. When you listen to it outside of itself, it can be horrifying. And I thought that what I had just done sounded very nasally and not at all good, right? Because I wanted to be Mac Powell. I wanted to be Jason Wade. But she was right that it was clearer. It was more on pitch. It was more consistent. There were all of these things that I suddenly did correctly that I had been doing incorrectly because I was no longer hamstrung by trying to sound like someone else. I was a second-rate Mac Powell. I was a second-rate Jason Wade. But it turns out that I was not a half-bad Nathan Smith. Well, you have to do something with that kind of information when that happens. And for a little while, I rejected that advice. And here's why. First, I didn't like it. I wasn't really reconciled to myself as a singer. I wasn't reconciled to that voice. I thought it was too bratty and nasally. And the second thing was I was afraid of what my friends would think if they heard my voice change. Right? I had this one voice that was my fake voice. I thought, well, if I change it over, everyone's going to notice and it's not going to be consistent. here's the thing. When you're in your 20s, you think everybody notices and everybody cares about you. People don't care. So, after enough time had passed, I started to get over myself. And I started to sing with my true voice. And guess what? It was clearer, it was better, it was more powerful, I could sing for longer. All of these things came to me as a result of singing like I talked, singing with my true voice, rather than the mask that I had put up. I see this happen a lot with young singers, especially singers just like me when they were in high school or in their early 20s in college. They give people what they think will get them compliments or what they think people want to hear. And oftentimes, that is whatever is on the radio. So for girls, it's Adele. It could be Beyonce. It could be Taylor Swift. It could be Ingrid Michaelson. It could be anybody. There's so many different pockets of this is cool, that is cool. For guys, I have no idea because I don't follow it anymore. Michael Bublé or whatever. But there's all sorts of idols that we have. Like, oh, I want to sing like that, so I'm going to. If you got good as a singer, it's probably because you were good at mimicry. The problem with that is it'll only get you so far. You might never meet your true singing voice, and that would be a shame. Because your true singing voice is your pure singing voice. And if you try and sound like somebody else, you will do weird things all up in here that limit you and hold you back from being as good as you really could be. So here's an exercise that is incredibly painful, but if you really want to be good, it's worth it. Cut yourself off from outside voices. Don't listen to the radio anymore for a week, or if you can go for it, a month. Don't listen to your favorite music. Don't listen to your idols, and don't sing their songs either. Get yourself a piano. Take a simple song like Amazing Grace or Happy Birthday, something where it's just some simple notes on a page, and decide I'm going to strip out every stylistic cool thing that gets me compliments. I'm just going to say this note on pitch, and I'm going to do it again and again until I introduce myself to my true singing voice. Then you have a decision to make. You might not actually like it at first. You can either reconcile yourself to this is what I truly sound like, and this is the voice I'm going to use, or you can go back to trying to be somebody else and being a second-rate version of somebody else. But at least you will have met your voice to begin with. I'm so glad that I met my voice. I'm so glad that I had a teacher who, in a simple half-an-hour lesson, explained to me what I truly sounded like. It took a while for me to grow into that and become okay with that. But wouldn't you at least like to know what you really sound like? So, I hope that helps you. If you're a singer, don't lose heart. It will be painful. It's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. Hey, if that helps, if you'd like to see more videos like this, visit blueprintsounds.com. If you're on a worship team, you'll see a download link that gets you access to 5 elements of a full-sounding worship team. It's a really good resource to give your band a framework to build around to make a full sound and arrange themselves into a band that works on any song. So download that. Until then, I'll see you next time.